At 25 years old, holding a shiny new contract extension is Elias Petterson, who's now the fifth highest paid player in the league based on his annual cap hit. But with a lack of production since signing and no indication it's going to turn around soon, it begs the question, how did the Canucks end up with an $11.6 million problem? Elias Pettersson was born in Sundsvall, Sweden, where he quickly gained attention for his exceptional hockey IQ, vision, and puck handling skills. Before being drafted by the Vancouver Canucks, Pettersson had a remarkable journey through the Swedish and international hockey levels that showcased his immense talent. Pettersson started making a name for himself in the Swedish junior leagues, specifically with Timrå IK in the J20 Super Elite League. This is where he showed off offensive flair and the ability to create scoring chances. After his junior success, Pettersson moved up to play for the Växjö Lakers in the Swedish Hockey League, the top professional hockey league in Sweden. During the 2016-17 season, despite being a young player, Pettersson impressed scouts with his dynamic play and offensive upside. He finished the season that year with 41 points, 19 goals and 22 assists in 43 games played. This earned him the distinction of the SHL Rookie of the Year. In the following year, after his draft, it is worth noting that in 2017-2018 in the SHL, Elias Pettersson set the record for the most points in a single SHL season by a junior player, which is listed as someone who's under 20 years old. Pettersson burst onto the scene in the 2018-2019 season with that scouted elite offensive talent and hockey IQ, quickly establishing himself as one of the league's top young players. He finished that season with 28 goals and 66 points in 71 games played. This earned him the Calder Trophy as the NHL's Rookie of the Year. His playmaking, lethal wrist shot, and calm demeanor under pressure made him a fan favorite, and his dynamic offensive style was crucial in sparking the Canucks' rebuild at that time. In his sophomore season during 2019-2020, Pettersson continued to excel, tallying 66 points a game in only 68 games before the pandemic shortened the season. He played a pivotal role in leading the Canucks to the playoffs for the first time in 5 years, although it was a little bit of an odd one. During this time, he contributed 18 points in 17 playoff games during their surprising run to the second round. Despite his lean frame, Pettersson has demonstrated an ability to compete in tough situations, showing impressive resilience in the playoffs. His first 2 years cemented him as the cornerstone of the Canucks' future, with fans and analysts alike seeing him as the player who could lead the franchise back to consistent contention. After demonstrating his abilities and coming off of his entry-level contract, Pettersson signed a 3-year, $21.9 million deal, averaging at $7.3 million a year. In his first season under this new contract, his numbers were largely flat. He produced 68 points, 32 goals in 80 games. During the second season, he had a breakout year, with 102 points and 39 goals in 80 games. For comparison, in 2022 and 23, Pettersson finished 10th overall in the league in points. This was a little bit behind Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who was carrying a cap hit of only $5 million, but produced 104 points, and Jason Robertson of the Dallas Stars, who had a cap hit of $7.75 million and produced 109 points. Looking beyond just points production, we can start to see potentially where Pettersson's elite level status comes in. In the 21-22 season, his top shot speed was 96.15 miles an hour, and he carried 17 shots that season that were between 90 and 100 miles an hour. This put him in the 92nd percentile, and that only seemed to improve. In 2022-23 and 23-24, he was in the 94th and 92nd percentile respectively. Additionally, Pettersson's not afraid to shoot. He took 61 shots in 23-24 that were within the 70 to 80 mile an hour range, and 55 shots in the 80 to 90 mile an hour range. Pettersson has clearly demonstrated his ability to take shots and put pucks towards the net. Now, however, is where things get tricky. Since his extension signing in March 2nd of 2024, Pettersson has gone from an average shooting percentage of 16% down to 10th percent. This is below the 50th percentile in the league, and in the first 5 games of the 2024-25 campaign, he has only 8 shots. This puts him at an 82-game pace of only 123 shots, which is almost half of what he's done in previous years. So where did this $4.5 million a year increase come from, putting him as the 5th highest paid player in the league? Well, there's obviously more to it than just points production and shot speeds. That said, we don't know what Pettersson is like in the locker room and what he's bringing to teams behind closed doors. But for the sake of argument, let's moneyball this. What we're looking at here are the 2023-24 points leaders with their cap hit and a cost per point average. And first we have Nikita Kucherov with 144 points at a $9.5 million cap hit, averaging out at just about $65,900 per point. Nathan MacKinnon in second with 140 points at a $12.6 million cap hit, averaging out at $90,000 per point. Connor McDavid, arguably the best player in the league, coming in at 132 points at a $12.5 million cap hit, costing about $94,000 per point. Artemi Panarin, 120 points last year at $11.6 million cap hit, coming in at $96,000 per point. David Pastrnak in fifth at 110 points with an $11.25 million cap hit, costing about $102,000 per point. And in sixth is Austin Matthews, the highest paid player in the league, with a $13.25 million cap hit, producing 107 points, averaging at the $123,000 per point mark. However, then we have Pettersson in 19th in the league with only 89 points at an $11.6 million cap hit, costing about $130,000 per point. To be fair, this calculation was made utilizing Pettersson's new contract, including the point totals from last season before it had taken effect. Now, since March 2nd when Pettersson signed his extension, here are his stats. For fun, we're going to break it down by theoretical cost per game since his new salary only took effect this season. Currently, at his $11.6 million cap hit, the average cost per game is $141,463. With 24 games between his extension time and October 19th of this year, his total cap hit since has cost the Canucks $3.395 million. Points since extension is at 15. Only 2 goals, and 9 of those points came at 5-on-5. So the cost per point since extending his contract is at $226,000, over 4 times the cost per point of Nikita Kucherov, and double that of the other top 6 point performers of 2023-24. In reality, though, he's only played 5 games under his new contract for 2024-25 being the first season, and with 2 assists, he started the season costing the Canucks $353,000 per point. Okay, so maybe the Moneyball method is mean, but it's an obvious slump, and if you're a top paid player in the league, it's an expectation to produce. So let's look at production beyond the goals and assists. Here, we're looking at Pettersson's 2023-2024 stats provided by NHL Edge. As you can see when looking at this, Pettersson's skating leaves something to be desired, but his attraction clearly comes in with his shooting ability and his offensive zone time. Now here are the same stats for the first 4 games of the 2024-25 NHL season. As you can see, where Pettersson once shone in the 95th and above percentile, he's now below 50th. His shooting percentage has slumped, he has no goals, his offensive zone time is way down, and even his skating is leaving something more to be desired. It is, of course, far too early to declare 4 games out of 82 a pattern or by any stretch how the rest of the season will go. But it is clear that Pettersson, even before his extension, wasn't producing at a top 5 player level, and yet somehow has negotiated his way into the 5th biggest contract in the league at the time of signing. So what can the Canucks do to turn this around? Do they have a responsibility to support him, or is the contract enough to justify Pettersson figuring it out on his own and stepping up to the elite level stage that he's being paid to perform at? Either way, there's one conclusion that's clear. Either Pettersson snaps out of this slump quickly, or the Canucks will have 7 more years of this $11.6 million problem.